Recorded live.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Mayan Cross Community Call, the telewebcast. Today is 1.Tijax, or Flint, or Obsidian, or Knife, and many other versions, I suppose, in the translation of this energy. But rather than get caught up in the translations of that, we'll just tap into the energies themselves today. This is Barbara Sadler, your hostess, creator of the Mayan Cross website. And with me on the line are Josh Johnson, who is a Daykeeper from North Carolina, who is also a Tijax. I believe you're a 12 Tijax, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Josh. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling very sharp.
Good. We were just talking earlier about being sure to tap into the discussion. What does it feel like when your day sign is the day? And even more importantly, when is your numeral and your day sign the day? So, Josh, can you kind of shed some light on that for our audience? Tell us what it feels like for you, typically, when the day Tijax rolls around, and also when the 12 days roll around.
For the Nawal Tijax, I feel at one, like presence. Just this morning, I've noticed my presence is very sharp, like I said earlier. Like I'm in the moment. So I
is
guess
that
it's
typical?
It seems to be.
And would you say that the same for the 12 days?
I've noticed on the 12 days that if you read the description for 12 on Mayan Magics, it tells you that sort of like piecing the puzzle pieces together and forming a whole from the pieces you put together. So I noticed usually on 12 days that I look at humanity as a whole and just try to look back from the beginning and see how we've ended up where we are now. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, upon reflection, I'm looking at Carlos Barrios's definitions or meanings of the numerals. And 12 is gentle, peaceful, introspection, teaching and learning. Strong energy that ignites, because 12 is a spiritual catalyst. The group, the family, the association.
Right.
So just to round that out. But today is a one day. How do you usually feel on 1 days, given the fact that you're a 12?
I feel the unity behind, on the one energy. I heard you say on one of the previous calls that you don't want to, or it could be dangerous to associate, like a weakness or a strength with the numbers as for the intensity of the day. But in my experience, 1 days are usually kind of slow paced for me. My brother, he lives with the calendar as well. We speak of it daily because we work together. So it's really nice being able to do that throughout the day. Just talk about
with a
things
family
that you
member.
notice. Yeah. And it's funny because on 1 days, you can start a project, but don't expect to finish it. And I've noticed that pretty much on every one day that I've been paying attention to for the past 7 years. So one days for me are typically kind of just easygoing. I just feel at peace on one days.
Very nice. Well, we also have on the call with us Jeff Grant, who's muted at the moment, but I wanted to welcome and acknowledge Jeff as well, who has been our technical guru, and he's dedicated himself to the point of creating the YouTubes that include visuals as well as the audio portion of these programs. So many thanks again to you, Jeff, for being the anchor, one of the anchors of this call.
You're very welcome.
There he goes, unmuted. And then we also have Eagle, who lives in Israel, and I'm feeling really good about this right now because we've got the four of us, one in Israel, one in London, that's where I'm calling in from, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast of the United States. And it just feels really solid, and it feels very, very much at peace and at one today. So I thank you very much for helping us hold this space. And let's just take a moment. That's my lead-in, Eagle. Let's just take a moment to reflect on what is present for us in this moment. If you'll light your candles, or in lieu of that, if you want to just be in a place of nature, maybe hold your sacred bundle or your staff or a crystal in your hand or your hand over your heart. Put on your headdress or your sash. Whatever it is that you can do that connects you to the moment and the sacred wisdom, the sacred calendar. And take a clean breath, a cleansing breath. And we'll ask the heart of the heavens, the heart of the earth, the heart of the wind, the heart of the water, to be with us now, in our hearts and in our bellies, where there is the fire. And we'll ask all of the ancestors to come forward with us and for us today. All of the elements, the first four grandparents, our prophets, to be with us in these moments, to guide the words that come forth, the feelings among us as we create this sacred circle around the globe in connection. And we thank you for all the gifts that you give us and helping guide us towards our destinies, towards meaning, towards our soul awareness, so that we can fulfill our highest purpose individually, in our families, with our loved ones, in our communities, big and small. Thank you, 1.Tijax, whose energy presides today and will preside for the next 13 days. And I'd like to ask Josh if he can speak to what Tijax means to him, what Tijax has shown you about the capabilities, the upsides, downsides, the all-around experience that you have of Tijax. Josh?
Yes. How do you put something so deep into words?
You'll be guided. You'll be just channeling at this point.
Well, the knife pierces the veil. It shows you the hidden things. Things that most of society would have a hard time seeing at times. It's easy for me to see other people's problems. I see the sufferings of others a lot, and I want to help them, get past their suffering. I think Tijax days are a day of, you can notice the suffering in the world, and you can also liberate yourself from it. Most of our suffering is self-created. I think one of my biggest challenges is knowing when to speak and not when to speak. Because I've gotten myself into some sticky, tricky situations by not keeping my mouth shut. One of the animals I've seen associated with this sign is the toucan, and I think it's the Joselo, the Aki in Antigua that I was talking to you about. He's wrote a book, and in the description of Tijax, it talks about the toucan, and the toucan has a big mouth, It needs to learn when to keep it shut. As you were saying about Tijax, it being a catalyzing energy, I notice a lot of the content in my consciousness is aimed towards justice, I guess you could say. If I see an injustice, I have to speak about it. And usually those injustices are political in nature. And if you're not careful, you can start an argument quick when talking about politics. Does that resonate with you as a Tijax?
Yes, I am also Tijax, and this has been one of the motivators for a lot of my actions over the course of a lifetime. I've had people refer to me to that being my Joan of Arc nature, where you just you can't keep quiet about it, either on a personal or a group level.
Right. On a relationship-wise, whatever. That sometimes the tongue can be like a sword, and I think that is one of my biggest challenges, is knowing how to speak, is learning how to communicate without cutting.
It's really interesting that you say this because I know a lot of other Tijashes. Like tons of them are in my life, probably more than any other day sign. And a lot of them, they're driven towards justice-oriented, solving justice-oriented issues. But one of my best friends is 13 Tijash. Actually, I have two good friends who are 13 Tijash, and they have mastered that. I mean, they speak with the most eloquent, compassionate tongue when it comes to very scalding issues. So I've always kind of interpreted this as the fact that I'm an 11, and 11 is a numeral that comes with many challenges.
Right.
And so that's why until I met you and we started talking about this, I was thinking that may be where this kind of, push almost to resolve the issue.
Yes,
and a lot of people don't care about that. They just would just as soon maintain the status quo and not stir anything up.
On a large scale level with society or community or personal relationships, if the issue isn't resolved, I feel a great sense of disharmony. It's like an urge to balance it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my theme, and this came up in motherhood, was really just to talk it out. To clear the air, to express your feelings, to express your needs, so that some resolution could be at hand. But the challenge of doing that on these massive scales is daunting, for sure. So it's been really enlightening getting to know Josh. And we talked a lot about the Mayan cross, too. And one thing he said right away, that a very influential person in his life, his grandfather, is an 8 road, an 8 Beleheb Ech. And my father also was an 8 And
also my father's year lord is 8
Uh-huh.
So that was another.
Well, can you kind of flesh out for us what that impact has had on you, that energy? Because it's in your cross too. It's on your right arm.
I say that it is probably the most influential manifestation that I see of the energies in my life, because I would say the majority of those who are close to me or who I'm in close contact with on a daily basis are the road. So I see them as facilitators, or that is the energy I've noticed about it in my life. Is it's a facilitating energy. It provides you with not only the material aspects that you need to reach your destiny, but also the spiritual, the wisdom, and so my grandfather is a road. My father was born in the road year lord. My mother is a road. My father-in-law is a road. My Taekwondo instructor / partner is a road. And all of those are in their elder stage. They're past 52 according to the tradition, so they would be elders. So I feel that I have a lot of wisdom to receive from them.
I forget what the road destiny sign is. Is it Tijax?
I believe it is
I can
the
look up.
Apu.
Apu, okay.
Yeah. My grandfather.
Huge influence.
Yeah, it pervades my consciousness every day. Road energy. It's the path. They provide the path.
Can you speak a little in terms of how that shows up in your work?
Yes. My grandfather is a pretty successful businessman, and he started out doing dairy work. He built a dairy for milking, and after doing that for a while, he sold that business, and then he built a golf course, a recreational community. So there's a golf course, and there's a neighborhood around the community. I mean, a neighborhood around the golf course. There's a couple hundred homes. But anyway, so I've been out here my whole life working for family, and my grandfather, so we're on a golf course, and my grandfather built this golf course, and one of the big things with golf course is grass. And it's just funny because one of the aspects of the road, another meaning for it is the grass, if I'm correct. Is that right?
Right. I've heard that too.
So I cut grass every day. And while I'm cutting grass, I'm sitting out, I'm riding on this mower thinking, the blades on this mower are cutting the grass, and that mower by extension, it becomes my body, pretty much. So like I'm just the knife cutting grass all day.
Poetic.
It's just funny to me. I see things in that way. I've had a lot of time to be introspective because I've been cutting grass for the past 15 years. So I'm on a mower by myself all day, pretty much. So I'm free to travel through the universe with my mind, if you want to say, and
just
ponder the
meaning,
deep mysteries.
How much more meaning your work has because of what you've picked up from the sacred calendar.
Can you say that again?
I'm just thinking about how, I don't know if before you started working with the sacred calendar, if what you do had as much meaning and it had as much beauty. And
no, it didn't. To me, it didn't. I mean, I felt like it was work, just work. Mm-hmm. But, after coming into the calendar, which, by the way, was a very difficult transition in my life because, you're going from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to, knife, storm, sun, whatever. And then you're trying to mesh that together and talk to others about it, to get their input. So half my family thought I was losing my mind and going crazy.
Yeah, I think that pretty much comes with this territory, at least in our culture.
But anyway, like what we were saying before, I just saw it as work. But coming into the calendar and learning more about the Mayan tradition, I started to see community and my place in the community. And, we each have a role to play. And we have to make sure we maintain the harmony in the community. Not just our little neighborhoods or our cities, but, with everyone we meet. That's actually one of the aspects of health, according to, from what Kenneth Johnson was describing in his Jaguar medicine. If we're out of harmony with the community, we can't have true health. That's part of the aspect of Tijax as well, is healing.
Mm-hmm. And thanks for bringing that up, because one of the things I wanted to just take a moment to step through today in today's call is a piece of wisdom that I learned through Carlos Barrios and his wife Adriana Rojas. And the teaching is this: that the Mayan calendar, the Mayan sacred calendar, actually resides within our human body. So it is embodied. And I'd just like to explain to the group that if you were able to sketch out even just a stick figure of the human body and start the count, the Mayan calendar count, in your body with the left ankle, and then have it work through all 13 joints of the body, and then up through from the root chakra to the crown chakra, you would have 13 joints, or 13 numbers, and 20 nawals in your body. And Josh and I were doing this the other day on the phone, and I'll explain, and maybe even if you want to take a minute to grab a piece of paper, draw the stick figure, and I'll explain the order in which these energies show up in your body. So what you do is at your left ankle, you start with your actual day sign. So, Josh, your left ankle is 12 Tijax.
Right.
Then you go over to the right side. Your right ankle is 13 Kawak, or 13 Storm.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go up to the left knee, and you'd switch to 1 Sun, or Akpu. And then right knee.
I've got the whole thing mapped out.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to ask people to do. And let me give you the placement, the order of the placement. So it's left ankle, right ankle, left knee, right knee, left hip, right hip, left shoulder, right shoulder, left elbow, right elbow, left wrist, right wrist, and then your neck. So those are the 13 joints in the body, in that order. And then with the next number, which will be the 14th one, you'll go to the root chakra and on up. So the last 7 are the 7 chakras. So it's root chakra, abdomen, solar plexus, chest, throat, forehead or pineal gland, and then the crown. So that's all 20 with 13 numerals plus 7 more. So that's how the Mayan sacred calendar maps to the human body. And what Carlos and Adriana teach is that 3 numerals, if you can map those 3 numerals, Those are the doorways to disease. Those are the doorways. So those 3 numerals are number 3. So wherever the 3 and then the nawal show up in your human body, draw a circle around that. Numbers 3, 6, and 11. So wherever those 3 appear in your human form, according to how we've mapped it out here, those are the it's kind of known in the Western world as those Achilles heels, those weak spots where energy may leak. And the 3 is the spot that may create confusion. The 6 is the spot that may create confrontation. And then 11 is an imbalanced area. So, I wanted to offer this on the day of Tijax because, as Kenneth talked about when we were talking about Kawak and other day signs, other nawals that are inherently adept at healing or teaching about healing or enabling healing. And by sharing this kind of a roadmap, a blueprint of how the calendar is embodied, that's just one more tool that enables all of you to diagnose and potentially anticipate disease. Which is something that Western medicine really hasn't done very much with. Anticipating those areas that may have lesser energy and that could result in disease if you don't do things in your life to shore that up, to keep those healthy. So what did you find, Josh, when you map things out? Any revelations?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I think the biggest one that sticks out to me is the throat chakra. And from what I understand, the chakras correspond to certain glands in our body.
Correct. The endocrine system.
The throat would be the thyroid, I believe.
Correct.
And for the past year and a half, I have been eating a really rigid diet, mostly vegetables, beans, legumes. I do eat meat occasionally, maybe once or twice a week, but most of the intake is just raw vegetables, leafy vegetables. And it's funny that after you helped me map this out on the previous call, I was on Facebook recently and I was reading a post, and it was about the thyroid, and it showed potential problems that could arise with your thyroid. And I've been having some throat issues. My throat has been bothering me, and it's not just a sore throat like from a cough or from a cold or something. I could tell that it's something deep in there, and I believe it's from eating so many of the raw vegetables, because from this post I read, certain raw vegetables contain certain acids that inhibit proper functioning of the thyroid. So I'm going to have to change my diet again.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's possibly, that indicates, just from seeing this on this little diagram I've drawn, it sticks out to me.
Mhm. What number is at your throat?
It's a 3.
It's a 3. Okay.
Yes.
Well, this
so
is
there might have been,
interesting.
you said 3's confusing, correct?
Right.
Well, I was a little confused about the correct diet, I guess.
Well, and doesn't Kenneth talk about the inherent constitutions of the body in his new book about Mayan healing? I don't have it in front of me, but
I don't either.
The Maya look at the human body very much like the Chinese medical people and the Ayurvedic, the Vedic version of ancient medicine. And they look at the various body types, and those are ruled by the elements. And Michelle just typed in a question asking how she was unsure of how the elements map to the body as well. So what I will offer is this. We are also composed of the elements. If you've got a day sign that, for example, Tijax, that has a white vertical line, Tijax is white and Kiche is white. And then you also have a gold or yellow horizontal line. Those are the elements that constitute your energy. So they're also equated to the 4 directions. So the white vertical, in the case of Tijax, is the energy of the north. And the energy of the north is cold, it's windy, it's analytical, it's kind of heady, like you're really concerned about figuring things out. At the intellectual level, it's also very intelligent. So that is one of the energies that comprises you in this entire Mayan cross configuration. And then you've got the other energy of yellow balancing out on the horizontal axis. And the yellow is the energy that comes from the south, which is kind of the opposite. It is the opposite. It's water, it's ripeness, it's juiciness, it's what else do I want to say? It's very feminine, whereas the energy of the white is masculine. So each one of the Mayan crosses, each one of the day signs has a relationship to the direction. The directions are color-coded according to the Mayan medicine wheel, for lack of a better term. And there's only 2 combinations that any Mayan cross can have. For example, Tijax, Josh, we don't have any blue in us. We don't have any red in us. Right?
Right.
So, and we resonate more with people that carry the yellow or carry the white than we do with people that carry the blue or carry the red. And I'm not saying that we're not compatible, or you can't be married to somebody that has a different configuration. Not at all. It's just that there's something more familiar about us. And I think of this in terms of soul groups, that we've lived other lifetimes together. We're probably going to spend other lifetimes together, and we're really, really learning from each other.
It's funny that you say that about the soul group. Or, just my wife is, she is a cat. She's the net or the spider or lizard. the many names it's known as. And her sign is in my cross, and we've always told each other that we were soulmates.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you can just feel it, the connection.
And you knew that before you knew about the Mayan calendar, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the first time I ever saw her, I knew that we were meant for each other.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's so sweet. It's very sweet. And that's the kind of special nature that we have with this stuff. Likewise, I've done readings for people that have been married, for umpteen years with someone that had the different color combinations or the different energies. And when I explain to them that it's not necessarily about compatibility as it is about a special kind of resonance, I mean, it actually made them cry. Because in a different way, it's like, it's almost like it can work, but you have to work harder at it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
There's something just more inherently fluid and connective about being with somebody in that same color combination.
If you think about the element aspect of it, water puts fire out, so two people with the signs with those corresponding elements, you just got to find the balance.
Mhm. Mhm.
My wife and I, we before I ever found out about the Mayan calendar, we had a book of feng shui book, and it talks about the elements and balancing them out and all that. And that was just a little correlation that I found with it.
I think what's really cool is that all these ancient traditions had just amazingly comprehensive systems for understanding the true nature of things.
Speaking of that, I think that, from all the research I've done, a lot of these cultures shared the same wisdom.
Right.
Just, for instance, the four directions, the four elements, even they were color-coded across different continents, And that, not to go off on a different subject, but that concept has always intrigued me, because how did they do it? How did they all come up with this same concept of the four directions, the four elements, the colors? Just makes you wonder.
Well, what I think about with that is this concept of the noosphere, collective consciousness.
Right.
That prevails at any given time.
Right, and I agree.
That's
I agree
what it
with
was.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of people would find that hard to believe, though, that we can connect on that level, that we're connected to something like that. That's one of the things I've seen as a Tijax, going deeper into our nature, that we do have these connections, telepathic. I mean, I know it sounds crazy.
No, it's not at all.
Not on this audience, but everyone has, been driving their car or sitting at their house or something and thought about someone, and then like 2 seconds later that person calls.
Right. Well, it's magical, and it's still happening, and it is one of the things that continues to bolster me whenever I'm feeling down or discouraged with what seems to be the apparent mentality of humanity. Because the more and more people that tune into these kinds of, to ancient wisdom and to the meaning that we can find in a modern context, it really does make you feel that you are understood and that there's a lot of power and a stabilizing force because of that. So I'm really, really grateful for that, and I'm really hoping that these telewebcasts contribute to that understanding in the world. Before we get too far along now, I do want to respond to two people have asked for a clarifying answer in terms of how to map the Mayan sacred calendar into the human body. And the question has to do with the numbers. So rather than what we're working with here is look at your numeral in your day sign at your left ankle and start the count there. And it will travel up through the 13 numbers. And then when you get to what would be the number 14, you just go back to the number 1, just like you do the count in the Mayan calendar. Did that help clarify how this maps into the body? I'll expect an answer. In a minute. Once people have a chance to work with it a little bit more. So, Josh, what kind of challenges do you think Tijax faces, besides always feeling like you have to keep your mouth shut?
Yeah.
We talked about some others. Do you want to bring them up? You remember?
I don't know if I'm remembering.
Well, we talked about, and I had one of the elders tell me that Tijax, we have Kiche in our destiny.
Right.
Which is like, hello, of course, everybody has Kiche in their destiny. This is, death and transformation. I mean, we're all going to die, right? But it was explained to me that because it's in our destiny, if we're in alignment through the course of our lifetime, and if we're tuned in to Kiche as an elder, that gives us enough power, personal power, to be able to say, well, this is a good day to die. So the potential is there to have a very lucid, sitting up, meditative transition, just like Gandhi, to the other world. However, throughout the course of our lifetime, we have many accidents. We have ailments. We are physically given these wake-up calls that teach us how to surrender, teach us how to be humble, teach us how not to be so egoic. So is that something you relate to?
100%. Yeah, you can use the term Godsmack if you want to. You just be walking down the steps and all of a sudden, boom, you're on your butt. just out of nowhere, with a hurt wrist, a hurt hip, hurt butt. I've injured myself countless times from not being present, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about daredevil stuff here. I'm just talking about everyday, just walking or, you know, jumping across a ditch or something.
Well, that's happened to me too. And every time it happens, it feels like, well, it is a crisis.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot about the emotions that we pretend don't exist. Things like fear and dependency and surrender, because at those times, that's all you can do. If you're injured to that degree, you just have to give it up, you know, and let the body and spirit help you heal. And admit that you need that kind of help, like serious help.
Yep.
That's not something a Tijax would normally do until they're
Yeah.
flattened somehow.
Yeah, I'm very independent. Like, here at our house, I'll be building a deck or something onto the house, or building a dog house, and it's funny, you know, speaking about this on a side note, because this is something that Ken Johnson also talked about in his new book. But I'll be, you know, trying to work on a project or something, and one of my neighbors will come over and offer me help, but I'll be like, no, I don't need your help. I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, as Ken Johnson said, you have to have good harmony with your neighbors. And that's something I need to work on as well, as, you know, accepting someone's help that they've offered, and not try to, you know, not feel like I have to do it all on my own, because in reality we can't do it all on our own. We have to work together.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have the independent spirit.
Yeah, the Western mind is gone in the direction of self-preservation and, you know, building up the self and what do I want and what do I need. And we've really forgotten about the community and, you know, our place in the community and helping further humanity in a right direction. And it starts at the personal level and the community level.
Mm-hmm. So, can you speak to how you manifest creatively? I mean, I think out on Facebook I shared your the YouTube of your of some of your music, which was really, really hauntingly lovely.
Yeah, that video. Yeah, one of the creative drives I have is music. I've been involved in music since I was a child, and I started playing the guitar when I was probably around 10 or so, and me and my little friends would, you know, have little garage bands and stuff like that, and I was in the middle school concert band and the high school concert band, so music is one of my biggest creative drives, and I found that when I'm having a hard time expressing myself in words, the music, it just comes out, you know. That song, for instance, was recorded in a very crude manner. I mean, I was just sitting in my living room floor, you know. It wasn't a song I had written before, so all the parts you hear are just, besides the drums, which I recorded first, all that music just, came out of the universe. That's how I like to put it. I've heard Peter Tosh, the reggae artist, talk about, when the music comes, you don't stop it, you just let it come out. So when I'm having a difficult time expressing myself in the words, it's like the music does it for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, you also recently carved a beautiful sacred staff with the Mayan calendar in it, carved into it. That can be pictures of that can be found on your Facebook page if people want to link in with you. And your Facebook page is what, Josh and Jamie Johnson?
Yeah.
Is that how it goes? Yeah.
Yep.
So, one of the things I really want to emphasize here, and it's so lovely that you're on the call with us, Josh, is that, Josh hasn't been to Guatemala or Mexico. He hasn't lived among the Maya. He's been doing his introspection and his work, so to speak, with the calendars, of his own volition. And yet, you talked about how you couldn't find 260 days to go down to Guatemala to become an official Daykeeper. But you know what? I think you embody this wisdom so well. And, I really feel like you should be acknowledged and feel good and proud about how much you've gleaned and how much you have to share about this with other people. So, really, thank you.
It's something that I do want to share with other people, but I've heard the saying, one of the aspects of E or it says, they're not usually prophets in their own land. I'm not trying to say I'm a prophet, but it's hard to share a different way of thinking with people who you've been around with your whole life because, they know you. It's like Eckhart Tolle said, they're just seeing the person that they've got built inside their head every day. They're not seeing the present moment, the wisdom in the present moment or who you are right now. So that's a challenge that I've had is trying to share this wisdom. It's kind of nerve-wracking sometimes, because one of the aspects of this day is being misunderstood. And I'm quite sure that I've been the subject of gossip here around my home. Like, what is this guy talking about? He's crazy. You would think I was a emush or something.
Well, we know differently, don't we?
Yeah. But I'm grateful that you say that, and I appreciate it.
Well, I'm just so tickled that you're among us and able to articulate so well one of those Nawals that is very misunderstood. I think a lot of them are, but it makes you realize that a lot of people just kind of look for the negative instead of really find the positive regardless. And all the Tijaxes I know have the purest hearts. They're the sweetest people underneath this kind of tough, cutting
cranky.
Yeah. So with that, we're at the top of the hour, but I do want to open the lines again just to make sure that everybody's clear about the method that we explained in terms of the mapping the calendar into your human body. And if not, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to address that. Well, guest 5 is saying no, not clear. So guest 5, I'm not sure who you are, but if you wouldn't mind sending me an email with very specific questions, let's make sure it is clear because it's really cool. Okay, so you're asking about the nawals. So there are 20 points in your body that have a nawal and a glyph. I'm sorry, a nawal and a numeral, just like on the calendar. Oh, someone's playing Jimi Hendrix. So I will, I see your questions. Just like you have a day sign that's comprised of a nawal and a numeral, if you map those through your whole body, you've got 20 day signs in your body. So what you need to do is, just like the numbers have a progression, 1, 2, 3, 1 through 13, the nawals have a progression too. And with the Kiche, they start, they're never taken out of sequence. So you want to stay with the same sequence of nawals. And if you have any questions about what that sequence is, just check on a Mayan calendar, a Mayan sacred calendar, because they're always in the same order. It's just whether or not what numbers match to them. So, guest 5, do you want to tell me what your day sign is? And we'll come up with the next 2 or 3 signs for you. Or it sounds like you're clear. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so you're 10 Monique, you're 10 deer. The next number in your right ankle will be 11 Canil, or 11 seed. Your left knee will be 13 offering. Your right knee will be 1 dog. Your left hip will be 2 monkey. Your right hip will be 3 road, etc.
Go through the rest.
Anybody looking for the progression of the nawals? Michelle's asking for this too. Go to the Mayan Cross Facebook page. Not Facebook. Mayan Cross website. Look under Interpreting Your Cross, and there'll be a page for each one of the day signs. They're in order. They're listed in order. Or look at a version of a Mayan sacred calendar. You can find it in the back of Carlos Barrios' book and Kenneth Johnson's books, etc. And Josh just included the link to his Facebook page, which has the staff, and I'm sure those are in the right order too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Barb?
Yes.
This is Risa calling from Alberta.
Hello, Risa.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm finally able to make the call.
Oh, I'm glad you could make it.
Me too, because this has been wonderful. What I'm missing are, I'm 10 Eagle, so I'm counting up, and what I think I'm missing are the joints, because if I count through the chakras and what I've got so far, I don't get 20. I only get up to 15. So
no, you have to start. You have to start with the left ankle.
That's where I start, with 10 Eagle.
Okay. Then after 10 Eagle, you would have 11 wisdom in your right ankle. In your left knee, you'll have 13, knowledge.
12.
I'm sorry, 12.
Yeah.
And then in your, what was that, right knee?
The right knee.
Then the next one is your hip.
No, the right
so
knee
you'll have,
is 13.
So you'll have the next number and Tijax.
Okay, so here's where I go to the hips, and then I go up to...
Okay, let me go again. It's starting with the left ankle.
Yeah.
It's ankle left, ankle right. Right knee, left knee, right knee. So you start on the left, go to the right for each one of the joints. Ankle, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, wrists.
Yes.
Left to right, left to right. So you're going back and forth. So you know how the energies in your body flow fluidly like that. And then you end up with your neck. That's 13 joints.
Okay, the neck is counted.
Yes.
Okay, so
13 articulations.
So that's like 9 for me. Right. Because when I go up, I'm counting again. It goes up to 9. And then I have the root,
then
abdomen, all the different chakras up to the crown.
Right.
Okay. That's where I was missing.
So that's how the energy is flowing through our bodies. That's how the calendar moves through our bodies.
It's a web. It's a web that's woven through the body, crisscrossing
It's like,
back and forth.
It's like Ida and Pingala in the Ayurvedic system.
Oh.
It's like a serpent.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, that's very good. I so appreciate that because I am a healer. And I have studied Ayurvedic stuff, and I do work with energies.
But this is really diagnostic.
It is. It's very useful to me because I do have, like, my left shoulder bothers me. I'm going to have some surgery done on my left foot coming up, and it's like, okay.
Well, what
do I do to help myself when this is happening?
Well, what you do is you work with your nawal.
Exactly.
You work with your day sign. You invoke that day sign to create strength and healing for that area of lesser strength. And all will be fine. I mean, that's how each one of these elements of our Mayan cross are used. I mean, they're spirit guides. They're used to help you find strength, positivity, fulfillment, health. Whatever it is you need. That's how the Maya work with them. So it's very practical, very spiritual, very physical, very emotional. It's comprehensive.
Yeah, it's so interesting because in every other system I've ever studied in astrology, healing, I've known my medicine was in the West, all about death and transformation, as we learned it, in the traditional ways, and yet my energy is East-West, and yet most of the people in my life are white and yellow. My partner's red-blue, like I am.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other people in my life, my children, my parents, my friends, most of them are white-yellow. And I can't figure that out. After I listened to what you said today, I thought, wow, where is my community?
Well, this is where, I raise the red flag and I say that, what is your experience? I mean, this just gives you the power of observation. It gives you another lens from which to look at things. And I really encourage people not to take other people's experiences and necessarily think that they're rules or, the only way it's going to show up for people. Because each and every one of us is unique. So, just play with it. See what that is. And ask your guides. Ask your guides for meaning or interpretation or clarification. And, lo and behold, it will happen.
I really resonated with what Josh said about feeling misunderstood by his community, unrecognized as if. And that's been my experience a good deal of my own life, too. I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I do, too.
Yeah, and
I don't think the work's ever done.
No.
No, it's not. But
that's something my granddad has. That's something that my granddad has conveyed to me. Talking about the road energy. Everything is work. Everything you do is work. Life is work. We have to work towards life every day.
What do the Maya say? The Maya say 95% of life is maintenance.
Oh, yeah, I can feel that for sure.
Yeah. We got to maintain our bodies.
Yeah. Well, all aspects.
Yeah.
I feel more like I'm maintaining everything in my world. Where I live, the 3 acres we're on, maintaining them, maintaining nature, nurturing and pulling away what is not, like all the toxic weeds or the noxious weeds that are considered unnatural in this environment, which I don't like doing, but which feels like the right thing to do in order to create better balance. And I'm doing that so much every summer. This is how I spend my summer for the last few years, is in maintaining and fixing the house and maintaining my body by being, healthy and exercising, and then winter comes and it's like everything turns inward.
That's how I feel. I mean, that's my life is just maintaining nature. Speaking of that, I've heard you talk about on the past calls how the past 13 days went of the previous cycle.
Yes,
and I've noticed a lot of just breakdowns. To me, it seemed like a destructive energy. It was a very intense energy over the past 13 days. A lot of things breaking down, a lot of surprises, a volatile energy.
The serpent.
Yeah.
Gone. So what are you predicting, Josh, for the next 13?
I don't know about predictions, but it seems to me just something over the next 13 days to do is really think about what you're going to say before you say it. Don't just shoot off at the mouth.
Find the best way.
Right.
Communicate what you need.
And what you're feeling. Don't just cut away with your words. And I've noticed, with the days that fall upon the peak of the Trecena, they give character to the Trecena as well. So the peak of this Trecena will be the serpent, which was last Trecena. So a lot of the serpent energy will continue to manifest itself over these next couple of days. So.
Oh darn! I thought we'd turned a corner.
Yeah, serpent. Serpent is the psychosexual energy, and in Carlos' book, he talks about it's a good day to find sexual balance, or balance within the polarity, the masculine, feminine. So when you're with your partner, if you have one, or whoever you're around, just try to seek balance with that person and communicate with compassion, which is a difficult thing to do if you're not present. Usually, if you're not present, things don't come out the way you really intend for them to. Or you might just say something that you wouldn't say if you were present.
Well,
that's what I feel.
Yeah. Thank you. That's wonderful, wonderful reminders for what really brings us fulfillment and happiness is just being present. Just being present is a tall task most of the time, but I appreciate all of your participation today, Josh and Jeff and Michelle and Guest 5 and I forget your name in
Lisa.
Alberta?
Lisa,
thank you. And hopefully you can join us again. Next call is going to be on Friday the 9th, which is bots, 1 bots. And we're still looking for a COT person. If they would like to join us on the 22nd of August, email me. Let me know if that's interesting to anybody you know or you. And it wasn't quite a ramble, Josh. I thought you did a fabulous job. So let's just take a moment, everyone, and close our eyes, and feel our spine, feel ourselves in this moment together. Feel the benefits of all of the wisdom that's been imparted here. And let's give thanks to the origins of that wisdom. The Maya lineages, all of our ancestors in all traditions, in all times, in all locations. And may we continue to walk lightly on the earth and impart to the best of our abilities that wisdom for the greatest good. So shall we do the count for Tijax? Josh, you want to lead? You want to
Sure.
lead in Kiche?
Yeah, I can do that.
Great.
maybe I won't mess up. So we just all join in?
Yes.
Okay. 1.Tijax.
1.Tijax.
2.Tijax.
3.Tijax.
3.Tijax.
4.Tijax.
5.Tijax.
5.Tijax.
6.Tijax.
6.Tijax.
7.Tijax.
8.Tijax.
9.Tijax.
10.Tijax.
11.Tijax.
12.Tijax.
13.Tijax.
14.Tijax.
15.Tijax.
16.Tijax.
17.Tijax.
18.Tijax.
19.Tijax.
20.Tijax.
21.Tijax.
22.Tijax.
That was an honor.
Oh, it's powerful.
Thank you.
Everyone, wear it well, feel it well. And until we meet again, have a wonderful, wonderful Trecena.